The desert spanning Arizona and New Mexico has long been woven into Native American myths and legends. It's seen by many as a place of mystical power, a spiritual vortex where natural beauty and supernatural energy converge. In 1988, this striking yet harsh wilderness became the backdrop for a real-life puzzle. The mystery started on Halloween. At dawn, on October 31st, 140 miles east of Tucson, Arizona, local farmer Larry Rivers encountered a young stranger who said he was searching for the beast. A witness named Larry Rivers recalls an encounter. "I pulled over and rolled down my window. 'Hello, you lost?' I asked. He looked at me calmly. 'No, I'm not lost.' 'Well, what are you doing out here?' 'I'm looking for the beast,' he said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I chuckled. 'You're not going to find any beast out here.' 'I'll find it,' he replied with determination. 'Well, I'm going to keep looking.' 'You need a ride somewhere?' I offered. 'No,' he shook his head. 'I'll be fine.' The stranger was later identified as 29-year-old David Stone, who had been missing for 2 years. David was once a highly successful stock market analyst, managing a branch of his father's business in La Jolla, California. However, around 4 years earlier, he expressed a desire to change his life and became deeply involved with a New Age movement. This movement encompassed various religious beliefs and philosophies aimed at self-enlightenment and spiritual growth, often involving practices like crystal healing, pyramid power, and meditation. Unfortunately, David's intense obsession with his newfound spirituality may have led him down a journey with no return. David's father, Harry, described him as an overachiever in nearly every aspect of his life. Known for his kindness and gentleness, he was deeply devoted to his family, always present and caring. Yet, this same man transformed completely when he stepped onto a football field. In his uniform, he became a proverbial commando, displaying a fierce intensity and relentless drive that stood in stark contrast to his off-field demeanor. This duality in David was remarkable. Off the field, he was thoughtful and considerate, embodying the qualities of a loving family member. On the field, however, he was a formidable athlete, channeling his inner strength to every play. This unique blend of strength and kindness defined David, making him both a gentle soul and a powerhouse competitor. For years, David grappled with his dual nature. Then, on October 28th of 1988, during a party at his apartment, David momentarily lost control. A friend of David's, John Duffus, describes the encounter. David started hitting him. He said he might have hit him 20 or 25 times. He didn't really hurt him, but he felt like he had to do that. Roughly around 9 o'clock the next morning, he came down and told me what he had done. I asked him where he was going, and he replied, "Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe to the Grand Canyon, Sonora Desert, I don't know." David told John that he needed some time away to reflect on his explosive behavior, promising to return home in a few days. However, 5 days later, David's car was found abandoned on a desolate stretch of New Mexico highway on Route 80. When they hadn't heard from David, his family had contacted the New Mexico State Police. It was then that they learned his car had been found abandoned and had been towed in. The police interviewed local residents and discovered that several had seen David. Lillian Richens recounted, "We had left our home in Cotton City and were driving up to the ranch. As we passed by, we saw this young man and thought perhaps he'd had car trouble. So we stopped. 'Hi, you broke down? You having car trouble?' we asked. 'No, I'm okay, thank you,' he replied. So we just went on." Another local, Glenn Duncan, shared his encounter. "I heard this voice and saw a man walking across the way, saying, 'Be gone, I am the power.' It struck me as unusual that he'd be out in the desert at that time of year wearing shorts with no coat or anything." David's car was found near the Pyramid Mountain Range, a site significant to New Age philosophy. Every year, many followers visit this area for what are known as vision quests. According to New Age beliefs, a vision quest is an introspective journey undertaken to discover one's inner self. It is thought that through isolation and meditation, a person can experience a vision that reveals their true identity. Harry Stone believed that upon arriving at the Pyramid Mountain Range, David felt it was the perfect starting point for his vision quest. Harry explained that such a journey requires a significant process of preparation, which involves confronting what is termed the beast. The beast represents the evil or negativity within oneself, and it is something that every person must face and conquer before achieving a state of oneness with God. Harry was convinced that David was determined to undertake this personal and transformative quest. 4 days after his son's car was found, Harry Stone joined a full-scale manhunt organized by the Boot Heel Search and Rescue Team. For 3 days, they scoured the desert using 4 planes and over 40 trackers and volunteers on the ground. David's trail led northwest from his car, heading towards Granite Peak. Ralph Doughty found it intriguing that the mountain, when viewed from the south, had a pyramid-like shape. He noted that this distinctive appearance might have held some significance for David's belief, though he couldn't be certain. It was an interesting observation, suggesting a possible connection to the New Age symbolism that might have influenced David's journey. Half a mile from the highway, searchers uncovered the first in a series of bizarre clues left by David. John Hill recounted that searchers discovered a large pyramid made of sand and rocks up in a wash. This was the first clue they found. As John continued further down the canyon, he noticed that the tracks seemed very fresh. He experienced a strange sensation, the hair on his arm standing up, accompanied by an intense feeling that David was somewhere nearby, possibly watching him. On the second day, trackers stumbled upon another puzzling clue. David had constructed another small pyramid, but this time he left behind his gold Rolex watch and 2 quarters. The coins in David's watch were found about a quarter-mile from the first pyramid. Roughly 3 miles to the north, searchers uncovered another baffling clue, a sequence of numbers written in the sand. They were later identified as part of the Fibonacci series, commonly used by stock market analysts worldwide. However, the last number in the sequence, which should have been 21, was written as 18 by David. The Stones now believe that the number 18 might have been David's way of signaling that he was in trouble. Ironically, his car was found at mile marker 18, and during his senior year in college, David's football jersey number was also 18. By the final day of the search, the elements had nearly erased David's footprints. However, bloodhounds managed to track his scent across the rocky desert terrain, following it back to Highway 80. The trail abruptly ended at the intersection of Interstate 10, about 13 miles north of where his car had been found. At the time, searchers took it as a hopeful sign that possibly David had hitchhiked out or someone had picked him up and given him a ride. That was the only explanation they could think of for why his scent vanished so abruptly. At the conclusion of the search, Carol and Harry Stone conducted a thorough inventory of the items left in David's car. Hidden inside a pocket version of the New Testament, they discovered a business card with the name Tony Ballesteros and an Arizona phone number. They promptly reached out to Ballesteros. Ballesteros said, "I never met David Stone myself, but a possible way he could have gotten my card is that I placed it in a tree for other friends to find our campsite. Maybe the wind blew it down and he picked it up later. But at this point, nothing makes sense how my card got into his Bible." In addition to the business card, the Stones discovered a note with unusual wording. The note said, "They think the word is in the safe. 6 knives in Rob's room. Use buys your tea and use take your chances. Halloween." No one was sure what the word tea meant. The Stones think it might be like the old saying, you buy your ticket and you take your chances. But the note just says, use buy your tea and use take your chances, Halloween. And that was the day he disappeared, October 31st, Halloween. What is the meaning behind the strange clues David left scattered across the desert? Were they a coded message indicating that he was in trouble, or a hint towards his ultimate destination? It appears that David successfully walked out of the desert, but what happened to him after he reached the intersection of Highway 80 and Interstate 10? Carol Stone explained, "There are always these unanswered questions. You know, life has to go on, and it's very difficult at times. We always want him to feel free to contact us, to let him know that we love him, and we want to hear from him." As the years have passed, the mystery of David Stone's disappearance remains unsolved, leaving his family and friends with more questions than answers. The clues he left behind, from the strange pyramid to the cryptic note, continue to puzzle those who search for meaning in his last known actions. Did David's spiritual quest lead him to an unforeseen fate, or did he find a way out of the desert, only to begin a new, unknown chapter in his life? We invite you to share your thoughts and theories on what might have happened to David. Could the clues he left behind provide insight into his ultimate destination or state of mind? Your perspective and ideas might shed new light on this enduring mystery. Please leave your comments and join the discussion on what could have become of David Stone.